Turning now to a discussion on innovation. NAILBA CEO Dan LaBert sat down with Victor Sanchez from Transamerica to talk about how the company is pivoting as it looks to a post-COVID future. Take a look.
Here to tell us more about Transamerica innovative changes, we have Victor Sanchez, Vice President, Managing Director of Transamerica Life Insurance Distribution. Victor, first, let's just welcome everybody, get them a little bit of background about yourself, and most importantly, I think the brokerage community wants to know about Transamerica's commitment to growth and innovation.
Oh, perfect. Well, I'll start, I guess, from the beginning. I actually got my start in this industry 20 plus years ago as an agent, actually out in the field, building a practice, sitting across the kitchen table on nights, weekends. So I've been on the front lines, been with Transamerica 17 years at the end of this month, which sounds crazy to say actually, but this is my second stint in the brokerage community. And so when we talk about, Transamerica and its commitment to growth and innovation, I think I'm gonna selfishly answer that question and be very candid. It's an amazing thing when the global CEO, the new global CEO, of our parent company, Lard Friese, says that we're committed to being the top 5 in 3 particular product lines: term, final expense, and IUL. So when he makes that kind of an announcement, which he did last year in December, selfishly, that was great for me as head of life distribution, right? Because that means from a job security perspective, I'm going to be around. But more importantly, I think the message it sends to the broader audience, in particular, our brokerage general agency friends, is that we are going to be here. We are committed to the life space. And so I'm excited to get to work. And again, I'm more excited to get to NAILBA, see all of my friends that I haven't seen in a long time. I think all of us are anxious to get together. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Well, it's long overdue. Hopefully we're on the tail end of the pandemic, but there's a lot that we've learned from 2020, especially as independent distribution, wholesale brokerage, the life insurance industry as a whole, but 30% more than normal are thinking about their own life insurance and getting that security. The pandemic has highlighted the importance of financial security for everyday Americans. Right now there are almost 60 million uninsured and underinsured. So what's new with Transamerica? How is the company making insurance easier and more accessible, especially when now people are paying closer attention to their life insurance that they may have not had?
That's a great question, and it's one I've been having to answer. And I'll just kind of piggyback off of what I was talking about in terms of our declaration, if you will, about being 5 in particular product lines. And it's what I mean by that is it's not just about product price or product feature or benefit. It's also about the experience at the end of the day, both for the agent, the agent who's selling our solution, but also the end consumer, the policyholder, family that we're protecting. And so that's really what I think where we're going from a Transamerica perspective. We're laying the foundation now, and it actually started in March of last year. I think you can probably attest to this with your relationships. As an industry, we all kind of dipped our toe in the water in terms of accelerated underwriting, automated underwriting, and people have ran a couple pilot programs, but it wasn't until the pandemic hit and all businesses started shutting down and we started hearing from different states that paramedics were no longer considered essential businesses.
Right.
And so as an industry, not just Transamerica, as an industry, we had to look ourselves in the mirror and say, okay, are we gonna literally stop doing business, or are we gonna get innovative and creative in how we can still process business, underwrite our cases? And so you saw a lot of non-med programs start to roll out. Transamerica was no different. And last year we started with 1 million, no paramed, no stranger coming to your house. But just last week, we announced up to 2 million across our entire product line. You can get the best class, no stranger coming to your house. And so I think as an industry, we're all moving towards how do we get people more coverage without paramedics, but not giving them what we would, I guess, refer to as simplified issue pricing. So as an industry, I think we're all working towards that. So Transamerica is doing its part from an underwriting experience perspective, making sure that people feel safe, there's no one coming to your house, right up until when the policy is delivered. So one of the things we also announced is that you can get your policy e-delivered and the e-sign for that. So again, the agent doesn't have to come over. And again, that's what we're doing.
Let's jump into that, because I mean, there's no doubt that the pandemic accelerated, the entire transformation of the life insurance industry. We used to joke that there was always a canned speech somewhere about disruption. Well, our disruption arrived, and we can't stop the progress we've made to what some would say is a difficult product to sell. It's not a difficult product to sell. We've made the product difficult to sell. And our carrier partners, such as Transamerica and others, have used the pandemic to alleviate those hurdles, lower those hurdles, and really create a different type of experience. And we're in a 3-click kind of world, so we're living in the
100%.
So I want to get your thoughts on this last question, because you said prior to Transamerica, you were on the other side of the table. You did the living room visits on why someone should secure their future. And it's like the best gift you can give is life insurance, right?
Yep.
So let's talk about the selling experience. How has it evolved? How has it improved for the brokerage general agency? And most importantly, given your background, how has it improved for the independent agent?
So I think you talk about disruption, and we've heard that in the context of direct to consumer. I think that's kind of what we think about, where people are disrupting, whether it's any innovative company out there. Everyone's thinking that that's where the industry is going. And I can tell you that from an industry perspective, from an agent perspective, myself, back when I was out there, it all revolves around time and speed. When we think about acquisition costs, whether it's the general agency, whether it's the end agent themselves, the carrier, the faster that we can make a transaction, the less expensive it becomes, the more profitable it becomes. So Transamerica, what we're trying to do, I can tell you right now, internally, we talk about turning insurance into a transaction. That's our ultimate goal. And if we're successful in that endeavor, then for that end agent, they can meet with more families in a week than they can today. There's less follow-up they have to do. What's an outstanding requirement, another APS, or I got to schedule a paramedic. All of that is taken off the table. So they're going to move from a world where they submit the application and by their Starbucks is ready, they're walking out with a policy in their client's email box. That's really where we're going as an industry. So the agent will win in terms of time. The GA will win because of the value that they're adding by having companies like ours on their platform. But then you look at the manufacturer, their expenses will go down regardless of the carrier. And then that would ultimately lead to better pricing. So I think it's a domino effect that everybody will benefit from. And it's one that most people, yes, they want it. They want it now. You talked about a 3-click society, but when they're talking about life insurance and their options, they still want that expert guidance and advice. And so the agent can still provide that, but now their policies are just going to get turned around that much more faster. And I think that's a game changer for our industry. And that's when we'll start to see that 50-year low that we always talk about in terms of life insurance ownership change.
Victor, I want to commend Transamerica. I mean, you mentioned the announcements regarding life insurance and final expense, and final expense agencies will move into selling life insurance when they get tired of selling final expense. We know that the circle, but I'm also glad that the doorbell didn't ring, because probably one of us was 3-clicking Amazon a couple of hours ago and a delivery would show up right now. So the great thing about it is we're turning life insurance is not to just the transaction, but an experience. And when you create the experience, the transaction will repeat itself. And that's how I think the one more addition to that domino effect is the customer, because hey, I got my life insurance today, boom, done, I'm on to the next thing, but it opens the door for thinking about other, future.
And you're absolutely right. I'm glad you ended with the customer, because the one innovation that I'm most proud of is we actually added a benefit for when the unthinkable happens. Aside from paying out the death benefit, Transamerica actually has a concierge service to help that family with the funeral and planning for the funeral and where they're working with. So we're not just thinking about when they're buying the experience and improving that and making it faster, making it better for the agent. They're going to get paid faster, But even, at the end of the day, in our industry, our agents are making a promise.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that we deliver on that promise, but we also want that experience for the families to be better than it is today. And I know when I lost my own father, what that was like. And so providing something like that is truly end-to-end experience. And I'm sure our industry will all get there at some point. So that's
well, outstanding move by Transamerica. We're excited you guys are engaged with NAILBA. We're looking forward to actually seeing everybody. Maybe not handshakes yet. We'll figure that out, but definitely fist bumps or elbow bumps. And I know Transamerica will be at NAILBA 40 to help us celebrate our 40 years of independent distribution.
We'll coin the NAILBA nod. We'll just,
so I like that, and I'm trademarking it right now. So, Victor Sanchez, Vice President, Managing Director of Transamerica Life Insurance Distribution. Thank you for joining NAILBA Brokerage in Motion.
Thank you so much.